He's addressing Prop 3.
Thank you. It's really nice to be in the Thumb today. Brings back my earliest memories. Back in the early '60s, my dad was a basketball coach up in Ubley, and honest to gosh, my first memories are my dad going pheasant hunting with his buddies right after school and bringing a brace of birds home almost every night during bird season. It probably started me on why I like conservation, because of that hunting background I got early up here in the Thumb. Now with Proposition 3, that's the proposal that if it passes would require Michigan utilities to get 25% of their electricity generation from renewable energy sources, wind, solar, biomass. It would limit, the wording on the ballot proposal limits price increases caused. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Do I need to go through the whole Ubley thing again? Catch me afterwards, I'll tell you about my connections to Ubley. But anyways, the 20 by 25 proposal, if passed, would require Michigan electric companies to generate 25% or provide 25% of their electricity from renewable sources. And it's defined as wind, solar, or biomass. The ballot proposal also limits price increases to consumers to 1% per year, caused by the companies trying to get to that 25% level. That's in the language, 1% per year. If the companies can't get there without spending more and driving up prices, they have an off-ramp where they can request additional years to spread out the cost to make sure it's only 1% a year. Now, I kind of collaborate with Saul Nuzis, our former chairman, on a conservative libertarian take on this. I know that both sides that support it, those that oppose it, come out with studies. They have their, this different nuance, and we can stand together and blast each other out of the water on different things all day long. I want to share with you some reasons why I think a Republican, a conservative, or a libertarian might support this. Okay, and it's coming from me. You'll hear a lot of estimates about the cost, between $10 billion to $13 billion for the companies to get there. That's a lot of money. Okay. But a majority of the coal plants now in the Midwest that feed into our power grid will be slated to be replaced over the next 2 decades anyway. So these companies are going to have to invest money to replace it, either with new coal, hopefully cleaner, or some other source of energy. Okay. Now the fact of the matter is, this year DTE filed a rate increase for 13.5%, and Consumers Energy has just proposed a 10% rate increase. That rate increase this year alone exceeds the whole cost of complying with a 25% energy standard. Okay, and in the documents filed for these rate increases, one of the things these cite that's driving increased cost of our electricity is the cost of transporting coal into Michigan, because we don't have coal mines here. Okay. This May of 2012, the Michigan Public Service Commission released a report that shows or claims that energy from wind now is less expensive than energy from new coal plants. Okay, so going forward, if the energy companies just replace coal plants, it'll be more expensive than what is already now available current technology. One of the arguments that we hear a lot is, none of these amendments belong in the Constitution. These are things that the state legislature should take up. Okay, Saul and I and the other Republicans agree that we really wish the legislature would have taken this up. But our legislature is becoming more and more like the federal legislature, like Congress, where special interests really are not necessarily calling the shots, but they're putting some fear in Lansing. And I'm a supporter of the bridge to Canada that Governor Snyder has negotiated. I know there's some speakers here that oppose that. But our legislature is kind of frozen on that issue. They won't come out one way or the other on it because they're fearful. So we really wish the legislature would take it up. They're not.
The constitutional amendment is an avenue that was given to us in the 1963 Constitution. That Constitution has been amended 33 times. Proposition A was one. Several other amendments that we take for granted today. That legal drinking age was one proposition that passed by citizen amendment. So the state constitution is not like the federal constitution. It's not a sacred document. It's a document that was designed for the people of Michigan to take action and get things done if the legislature wouldn't do it. So for that reason, this is the avenue that we're pursuing. I can cite studies. You probably have heard the Michigan State study that says if Proposition 3 passes, 74,000 to 114,000 new jobs will be created. Trust me, that's semantics, and it's how the study was written. Okay, I don't necessarily buy into that, but I'm practical, and I try to use some common sense in thinking through this ballot proposal. We send about $1.7 billion out of state every year to buy and transport coal in. Doesn't it make sense that if we could keep some of that in Michigan, buying solar energy, wind energy, biomass here, keeping the money here with local businesses, local employees, that we would benefit from that? I mean, to me, that's common sense. $1.7 billion we ship out of state, and we could keep some of it in state with this proposal. In 2007, Illinois adopted a 25% renewable energy standard. And this year, the Illinois Power Agency released a study that said because of that 25% standard, electricity rates have significantly dropped in the state of Illinois. You can Google it, you can find it and see it for yourself. It's a real fact, it really happened. It's not a study, it's not a projection. In Illinois, 25% standard passed in 2007, electricity rates have dropped. That same study said that it has also had a significant impact on employment in Illinois. And year to date, the leading growth sector for jobs in Illinois has been in the clean energy sector. Okay, that's real life data. That's a case study from a state in the Midwest. Along with that, on September 28th, Traverse City Record Eagle published an article about Michigan's manufacturing sector. And according to the Michigan Manufacturers Association, which is hardly a progressive, liberal, democratic front group, 4.1% of Michigan's manufacturing jobs today are in the alternative energy sector. 133% growth over the last 3 years. Granted, it's a small amount, so it doesn't take a whole lot to, it's like if Brandon Inch gets 2 hits, his average really goes up, right? So, but anyways, that's a positive fact from the Michigan Manufacturers Association. We look over to Ludington, Mason County. They've just completed a wind park over there. The wind farm accounted for $7 million in construction payroll, $9 million spent with local vendors. The local governments there anticipate about $29 million in revenue over the next 20 years. As a mayor, I can appreciate that, or as a former mayor and current city commissioner, I can appreciate some new tax base. And $4 million annually in maintenance and operations will be spent in the county, in Mason County. Gratiot County, where, by the way, the Republican county treasurer has a turbine on her farm. They had 260 construction workers, $35 million in expected property taxes over the next 20 years. One township, Bethany Township, will receive about $55,000 a year each year for the next 20 years, which is about a quarter of its budget. And about $2 million per year in lease payments to landowners, which breaks down to about $15,000 per turbine. Now, I'm a Republican. If you've read our pledge or our statement of why we're Republicans on your website, on the state website, I believe that the best government is that closest to the people. So I know there are counties in Michigan that say we don't want windmills. But there are some counties that said we want them. There are counties that say, yeah, we want some solar. We want solar arrays. Others don't. Okay, we're not. This amendment does not mandate what any local municipality has to do, take, or change zoning. Okay. Now, my group, ConservAmerica, believes conservation, nothing is more conservative than conservation. Energy efficiency is the lowest hanging fruit, the lowest way to save energy. But I look at this amendment also as a pro-life amendment. And it's not a big leap. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 600,000 babies are born every year with unsafe levels of mercury already in their bodies. 40 million people get their drinking water from the Great Lakes. Yet we're advised not to eat fish out of the Great Lakes because of mercury contamination. A significant amount of mercury that goes into the air and water comes from burning coal. So this proposal has the potential to decrease by 25% that amount of mercury that we're in Michigan emitting or causing to be put into the environment. Mercury in unborn babies results in all sorts of lifelong diseases, issues, asthma, learning disabilities. Some people are now connected to autism. So a 25% reduction in the mercury that we're spewing by burning coal is a significant factor for public health. And I have a minor libertarian bent. Short of violent crime or abortion, I can't think of any more egregious violation of a person's personal liberty than to reach into the mother's womb and poison an unborn baby before they have a chance to take their first breath. So for me, anything we can do to reduce mercury in the air, help our economy is a good thing. So I look at Proposal 3 also as a pro-life proposal. I had one more point I wanted to make. I know you have questions, and I know the next speaker will kick everything I just said out in the parking lot. So, right now, as you might know, Michigan has a 10% standard a goal to hit by 2015. We're doing really well. And to DTE, Consumers Power, other utilities credit, they're doing a really good job of getting there. And you know that here because in neighboring counties, there are some wind parks, and I know there's a lot of solar going on. A lot of people are taking energy production in their own hands with solar and consumer-sized wind, so that's a cool thing. A lot of people say, why do we need to go to 25% now? Why don't we wait till 2015 and make sure we can get the 10%? Well, the way the 10% bill was legislated is it limits competition to 10% of the market. It guarantees utility companies an 11% profit on the generation of the clean energy, renewable energy. This one will open up competition and will invite market forces to try to meet that 25%. So again, I think the voters have a chance to override some of the not so good things in that 10% law too. 30 states in the country have some renewable standards. Many in the Midwest are at 25% by 2025 now. Minnesota, Illinois, Ohio, even West Virginia. These coal states, they know something. They don't want to burn coal in their own neighborhood, but they want to ship it out and sell it to us to burn. So anyways, that's why I think a Republican can at least think about supporting this proposal. Why a conservative, pro-lifer, libertarian can think about it. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for not tarring and feathering me and writing me out of town. I know I'm an outlier. So.